Hello everyone, welcome back to Aman Talks NRL SuperCoach, talking about round 12, wrapping up the week that was. Getting the microphone out of my face maybe is a start, but it was a good week for me in the end. Hopefully you all enjoyed your footy this week in Indigenous round. Keen to get live. Look, it's not often this season that I've had a good week, so I may as well try to enjoy it while I can. But 1385, so really good score for me this week after looking around at a few other scores. Past score seems to be around the 12 to 1250, so I think if you've gotten above 1250, you've probably had a good week. There were some really big scores out there, but obviously some huge swings, with the likes of Nico Hines getting 3 points in the end, like 21% captained by the top 1%, so huge moving ground for a lot of people up in those upper ranks if they did captain Hines. Obviously, we'll talk a little bit about the State of Origin sides. New South Wales team has been named. Queensland team hasn't yet been named, but it's probably going to be pretty self-explanatory. So we can talk about maybe some of the talking points out of that one and how that maybe has effects on SuperCoach. Otherwise, we'll just kind of go through your questions, talk through some of the games, and what we're thinking of next week. Obviously, next week being the first major buy round. So for overall players, your best 13 players contributing, and we want to make sure that we're well set up. The big news is probably going to be is that Teddy's not been named by New South Wales, so Manu probably not going to be playing at fullback, which is a big thing for me, and also no Dylan Edwards for people who've bought him recently because he has been named for New South Wales. But thanks to everyone who's already in the chat. Mr. TJ Penno, Darren Nixon, Captain Nico. Yeah, look, anyone who Captain Nico, it's so unlucky. I wouldn't have done it because of the whole versing Penrith thing, but you can't. People who are saying who would have captained him? Surely not against Penrith. I get that, but also the outcome is so punishing. Captaining Hines and getting 3 points when on a bad day he may, if he played the full game, maybe he ended up on 40, 45. To get 3 points is just absolutely rough. So that's huge. I know Clem Cassidy, shout out to her. She is a fellow Nico Hines captainer, so I'm pretty sure she's organising a get together and a crying session for all those on Monday. For those who captained Nico, so reach out to her for if you want to all have a bit of a drowning of sorrows together. Benny G 1385, thank you very much, appreciate that. Great to see you as well. Riley O with 1430. I actually saw the number one ranked player on SuperCoach score 1405. He had a really good week because he had Dylan Edwards, who went 100 plus this week. He had Karaz. I think he had Karaz. I don't know if he had Karaz, but he had Manu. He had Val Holmes. I think he had Drinkwater. He had a lot of the guys who did really well. So the guy who's coming first, actually had a really big week as well. Peanut Gallery, thank you. My guy Aman with a big week. Cashwell 1405, including Nico. Yeah, look, I'm going to assume that most people have Nico Hines' score of 3 in there, but yeah, look, I his score is included in mine as well. But yeah, I obviously was really helped by some of my backs, like vice captain in Karaz. I took that loop on Thursday straight away just because I figured I didn't have that bad of an AE. I think my AE ended up being Lussick. He scored 22, which is not ideal because he had Brendan Hands on the bench. But look, I dropped Sean Lane. The only questionable thing, I guess, with my selections, to be honest, I was never considering playing Samuel Ifeanu, but I'm happy enough that he scored well, 82 points. Ellie Cato and Angus Crichton just doing their thing. Front row, whatever, don't care. Liam Henry, 74. That's great for his cash gen. Terrell May, meh. But look, with the news that Spencer Lenu's playing for New South Wales, and then Lindsay Collins for Queensland, I suspect there should be some good minutes for Terrell May during the Origin period. So happy enough to keep him. Josh Curran, a bit of a bounce back with 61. Grant, a little bit quiet, but 57. Who else was good for us? Sam Walker was huge, obviously getting 100. Started that game really strong with a couple of tries just very early on. Played Lockie Galvin over Iro. So I did throw this one out to Twitter in terms of playing him or Kale Iro. My gut was telling me Galvin, and Galvin was who I first went with, and it was just because of the matchup of the Cowboys. So really happy I went with my own gut for once, and Galvin did very well. Scored 90 points. Dillbag 66. Played Blaise Alungi, who did really well with 87. Jermaine Sarker got a couple of he got a junk try at the very end of the game, so he ended up on 84, which is cool. Dom Young, surprisingly, when Roosters scored 44 points, got no tries, but look, 36. That is what you'll get with him, but we know that he can deliver huge in any other week. Garrick solid 69. Val Holmes huge 136 for holding onto him was awesome. He got junk points too. Drinkwater solid 105. So my loop did pay off. I was going to captain Drinkwater if I didn't take that vice loop on Karaz. I didn't quite work out exactly how much better off I am, but I think I'm better off by like 20, 30 points. So I think the loop worked in the end. So yeah, look, I'm really happy with how the week's gone. Obviously, I don't think I'll get to 1,400 on updates because I only had Asako play today. I didn't have anyone else from that Broncos-Titans game. So all the updates are in for the Saturday games already. So I doubt that Osaka is going up 16 points on updates, but close to 1,400. Yeah, really, really happy with how the week's gone. So yeah, I'm ranked like 13k. Should hopefully see some good green arrows. 1169 for James Gowing, 1253 for Matt Strongweek. Yeah, look, I think 1200 to 1250, I'd say, is around the par score. 1300 plus is probably a really good week. I've seen a few scores in the highest so far I've seen 1492 in a league. That player, Captain Teddy. And we'll definitely have to talk about Teddy because he's now a serious option that he's going to be available during the Origin period by the look of it. He scored 151. He's had a good few weeks. Like he could be a real strong option for people who maybe have Dylan Edwards. They can move Dylan Edwards straight down to Teddy and actually free up quite a bit of money. So maybe a guy who we'll be talking a lot about coming into next week as a good trade-in target. Aman, bigger comeback than LeBron's hairline from Craig. I really appreciate that. Yeah, look, it's nice. Look, it is nice to get a good score. I will admit that. That's for sure. It does feel good. And I saved trades. Didn't make any trades this week as well, which I think is really, really critical. It was about time I saved some trades. I did. Just trusted the team, and yeah, look, very happy in the end. Henry as a non-scorer hurt to see. Look, I was never seriously going to play Liam Henry, so I'm not too bothered by the 74 points on the bench. If anything, I'm happy that he's now, I think, projected to have like a negative break even or like a zero break even. So he should still make some pretty good money. So like, I'm happy enough with that because I've just been holding on to him, just not trying to make any moves at front row. 1459 from Jake Young. That is awesome. Really, really huge score. That is big green arrows coming your way. 1187 from Swift AU. Sucks for Nico. Yeah. We'll definitely talk about... So Nico has been named in the New South Wales team, but you've got Matt Burton at 18th man, and you've got Luke Keary at 19th man. So 18th man... so I suspect that... From what I've read, though, is that if Hines is ruled out, Keary is apparently the one who's going to be coming into that team, and Burton stays at 18th man. That's kind of what I've read. So either way, Matt Burton, though, if he's named at 18th man, he will not be available in the bye week. So that is something to keep in mind. 19th man and 20th man are available to play for their clubs, but the 18th man has to stay with the Origin team and can't play for the club. So either way, Matt Burton owners, unfortunately, I don't think you'll have him for your round 13 bye team. 1235, captaining Manu. Yeah, obviously now I need to have some thinking. One of the big things I was thinking about coming into this week was, if Manu was playing at fullback and Edwards wasn't. So Teddy, the Teddy selection had a big swing on my potential trades for next week, because if Teddy was named, Manu goes to fullback and Dylan Edwards was available, and I was thinking, how do I get both of these guys, or at least one of them, into my team? Now that Teddy's not been named, Manu doesn't go to fullback, and I don't have to worry about Edwards. So that's kind of actually worked out probably better for me as someone who doesn't own Manu. Look, Manu's still obviously a serious, he scored 97 at centre. Like, he still scores very well. He's just not as, oh my God, I absolutely have to have this guy when he's playing compared to when he's playing at fullback. He still would be really nice, but I might skip him now just because he misses round 14 as well. So that's something for me to think about. Captain Dom Young, how does he not score when the Roosters score 44? Yeah, that's unfortunate, Brad. Obviously, I would never feel comfortable captaining Dom Young just for this reason. He's not a goal kicker, so he just needs those tries. And while Manu has been good for him, on any given day, Manu can just himself score the tries, and it doesn't go to the way of Dom Young. So I would never feel comfortable captaining Dom Young myself. But look, that's probably why I'm not going to get 160 times 2, because we know he can deliver that, but I'm just afraid of those 30s that he can also get. Fermor, the best second row forward ever. Bo Fermor has actually been so solid for people who've owned. 1253 for Stefanos, 1215 for Jack. Yeah, a lot of scores in the 1200s. Mark with a 1422. That is a really big week. Current rank of 1143. I definitely think you should be getting a plus into the top 1,000. So congrats on that really good week, Mark. Tyler with 1447, really good score. That's, huge. I have seen a 1492 rolling around. That person captain Tedesco, but still, you can't knock these 1400 score. That's awesome. Is Hines a sell? Reese is asking. Mitzak is asking. Trade Nico to Hines is a sell at the moment, as is Angus. Yeah, so I haven't watched every single game of footy this weekend, so I know obviously Hines got ruled out for the second half of that game. But we'll definitely talk about Hines. We'll talk about right now, to be honest. So obviously, look, a score of 3. He had a break even of 127. So just bear with me. I think Jay Schubert was projecting that he was going to lose about 105k. So he was still going to be like, 900 and 980k, like 980k. Like he would still be super, super expensive. And I think the issue, so he does play round 13, but if he's ruled out of Origin, he's obviously not going to be playing for the Sharks. And then it's just really up in the air. We really just need to see what's the situation with this calf injury. Because if he's ruled out for like 14, 15, misses 16 as well, that's a lot of money to be sitting on your bench. And I was looking at Nico as if I needed to get Manu or Dylan Edwards, Hines was probably going to be the guy who I was sacrificed because he's worth so much money to try to fit in one of those other guys. My initial thought with Hines was if I do decide to sell, it's a bit of an odd one because you'd want to sell him this week and free up the cash if you need to upgrade elsewhere in your team. So I already own Sam Walker, but Sam Walker's probably a really obvious one for people because he does play round 13 and it's a good matchup against the Cowboys. So I think Sam Walker's probably a really obvious one. Another one who doesn't play this week in round 13, but Jerome Hughes. So the Storm have got a pretty good run during the Origin period. I'm personally looking at Jerome Hughes since I already own Sam Walker. So Hughes is probably the next one I'm looking at. I think Hughes updated to like mid-70s, so he scored pretty well. So yeah, those are the first 2 that came to my mind if you are looking to sell Nico. Probably Sam Walker or probably Jerome Hughes. If you look at other teams, the likes, if you've got the dual now, I guess, well, I should say, now that you've also got Dylan Brown available at halfback, Dill Bags is probably also a real candidate. So he scored 66 this week, but he does play round 13 and he also does play round 14. So I think if I had to rank those 3, probably Dylan Brown just for the fact that he plays 13 and 14, then Sam Walker because he plays 13 but misses 14, and then Jerome Hughes because he just doesn't play 13. So if you need someone to get this week, Dillbag is still at a pretty reasonable price, I think. So like if you're selling Hines and you're going to Dylan Brown, you're going to free up like 300k pretty much, or close to 300k, which you can use to make some big upgrades elsewhere in your squad. So I reckon Dillbags is probably the play for a round 13 guy. But so Tyler's saying surely Hines as a hold has great Origin draw. The draw for the Sharks is good during this little Origin period. So now they've had a tough little stretch the last few weeks. Now they kind of do get into a bit of a better run. So they've got Eels 13. Broncos, I'm looking at now, they lost today. They conceded 36 points. They have been conceding a fair amount of points, the Broncos. So I think the Broncos, I'm looking at them, especially with some of their injuries now during the Origin period as well. I'm thinking the Broncos are not necessarily a team I'm afraid of in terms of a matchup. They are leaking a fair number of points. So that looks pretty decent. Dolphins in 15 is good as well. We know the Dolphins on the day can be leaky, but they're good at scoring points. They missed 16. The Bulldogs, I wouldn't say is an easy matchup now, but it's not the worst. Then it's the Titans and then the Tigers. So it is a really good run actually during this little Origin period. So it'd be very interesting to see what happens with Hines and his prognosis. But if he's out for say 2 weeks and so he's not going to be back until 15, before the New South Wales team being named, let's say if Teddy was named, Edwards and Manu were available, I was probably going to sell Nico. Now I can maybe see a case where I maybe just hold on to him. And that could also just be that maybe now my team is pretty well set for 13. I don't need to worry about it too much. And I can just conserve trades because Hines is a guy that you're going to definitely want for the end of the run home. And Crystal says 1479 with Hines ranked 500. Will I be ranked in the top 100 next week? Really difficult to say because I have seen a lot of the guys in the top 100 score above 14, but 1479 is a really good score. I don't know if you'll be in the top 100 next week, but you're definitely, I would have to think you're definitely in the top 300 based on that score. That's a really strong score. Jason, this is a really good point as well to make. So saw someone that Fafita might not get picked for Queensland. Would he be an option for round 14 onwards? So obviously Fafita, I guess you can call it a quiet game, but scored 79 points. And that included 1 try assist, line break assist. So according to some messages I'm just setting on WhatsApp, so apparently the Queensland team does have Fafita in the 17, and he's been named on the bench. So Fafita has apparently been named in the number 17 jersey. So it looks like he's still going to be in the Origin squad, which is fair enough. I'm looking at this Queensland team, and to be honest, it pretty much picks itself, I'll be honest. So I'll quickly read it out. It's like Reece Walsh, Xavier Coates, Val Holmes, Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow, Mario Taulagi. 5'8" Tom Dearden, just pipping Ezra Mam. Then you got Cherry Evans. Props, you got Collins and Pat Carrigan. Ben Hunt at number 9. Ruben Cotter on one edge. Jaden Sewer on another edge. And then Hopgood actually making debut at 13. And then the bench is Harry Grant, Mo Fodawaker, Jeremiah Nanai, and Dave Fafita. Like, not too crazy of a team. I think an 18th man, Ezra Mam, 19th man, Selwyn Cobbo. And then you've got like Corey Jensen, Brendan Piakura. But yeah, it looks like the Queensland team is pretty like, well, pretty much what we expected. I don't think there's too many things. When did they name the Queensland team? I don't know. Where am I looking at the Queensland team? I'm just getting people just messaging me on WhatsApp telling me this is the apparent Queensland team. And yeah, I kind of wish they had a bit more of an official thing about the team releases, but it just gets drip fed over the week and the weekend from like journalists and stuff. There's no like big reveal. So yeah, anyway, it is what it is, but I don't know when they name the Queensland. I think Queensland generally name it the day after New South Wales. New South Wales is generally Sunday evening. I think for SuperCoach, it was the New South Wales team that was probably more impactful. Anyway, 144 of you watching, which is awesome, but I can only see 6 likes. Give the stream a like, guys, if you are enjoying it. But yeah, as I said, I don't need to go through every game in detail. I'm happy to keep this one a little bit more Q&A style. Jacob Gagai is a sell AU risk, absolutely rubbish SuperCoach player. Someone else is asking, what do I do with Jacob Gagai? So yeah, Gagai, I don't even, what did he score in the end? 10 points. Look, he's got a -7. He will make a bit of money. Not a whole heap. He'll make some money. But yeah, look, so he'll be 285k. Just going to refer to Jay Schubert as always, because this is some of the most helpful stuff out there for a Sunday evening. So yeah, Jacob Gagai, 24k price rise with an expected 66 break even. So he'll be like, 310k. If you've got the money, I would be very happy to flip Gagai to someone like what's his name? David Armstrong. I think David Armstrong will be available next week, round 13. He plays 14. Armstrong's got like a -55 break even. He's only about 70, 80k more expensive. If you don't own him already, he'd be the first one I think I'd be looking to. I wouldn't suggest going to enough straight away, just because we're only in round 13. I feel like if you want to get a 1 week play, enough who covers one bye week but then doesn't play the rest of the year, I'd probably try to do that towards like round 19, maybe not in round 13. But yeah, I think look, Jacob Gagai, you definitely don't need to be holding on to him for too long. He is an 80 nightmare, like only scoring the 10 points in 80 minutes. Scored 17 the week before as well. Look, the run in 14 against Titans isn't bad. Then Broncos, Manly, like it's not terrible. If you can afford to keep him and you can cop the 80s, he's not the worst hold just because the next few games aren't too bad. But I completely understand wanting to get rid of him just because, he is a bit of an 80 nightmare. Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised as well that Cobbo's apparently not in the starting backs because he's awesome. Who to sell for Angus? What's the pass? Angus to Aitken next week. Yeah, few questions about Angus. So there's probably not too much, I guess, from the Para Rabbitohs game. I guess Latrell wasn't selected for New South Wales, so probably not a huge shock. I think a lot of people were expecting him to not get named. But yeah, Rabbitohs don't play round 13, so I think you're probably not looking too many at their players. And with Eels, we've already spoken a little bit about Dillbags. I'm really happy with Blaise Salungi again, 87. Got some junk points towards the very end of the game as well, feeding it onto Mike Acevo. So he's going to be an awesome cash cow. So he's going to, I think Jay Schubert had him projected for, let me have a look. He had him projected for 132k price rise. This is when he was on like 91. So call it 130 with a -25 break even. So he's going to be like 540k with a negative break even. Like he'll get into the 600s. He'll be such a nice little switch to someone like a Dallin, Witeni Zalesniak, or like any other centre wing gun that you just bottomed out that you can think of. So yeah, really happy with holding on to Blaise Salungi. Probably not too much more, I guess, out of the Eels team. I guess Joey Lussick is not ideal while Brendan Hands is on the bench, but yeah, I mean, Eels are very, very poor in defence, like conceding 42 points in first half. They was so bad in defence. Thinking of going to Blaise to Meany after round 13. Yeah, there's a lot of targets that you can get from round 14 who cover round 16 and potentially round 19 as well. Don't think the Eels play round 16. So Talangi, yeah, look, he's doing a fantastic job. He's playable, getting points. Plays the Sharks in round 13, but look, I'll definitely be playing him in my 13 and hope that he gets, hopefully he plays round 13 because, so Hamish is saying apparently Gutho is back next week. Yeah, potentially he could be. There's some chat as well about Gutherson being named at centre, keeping Talangi at fullback, but I guess we just kind of have to wait and see what happens, I guess, with the team lists. Talangi, my favourite player to watch live from Matrix. Shout out to Matrix, of course. We watched Blaze Talangi last week at Magic Round Live. Talangi he's up there. He's really good at getting junk points, which is awesome, especially as an owner. I didn't even play him last week, and I was still happy to see him go 100 plus because I just knew that the cash was incoming. But yes, he is one of my favourite players to watch live. Tell you who's not is Asako, because I would have been like, if I was at that game today watching Asako, I mean, he got an early try, but then pretty much not much for the rest of the game until the very end. I would have been pulling my hair out, I guess. Okay. And then, that's probably it, I guess, from the Rabbitohs Eels. There was some few questions coming in about Angus. So we'll talk about Angus. So he has been named in the Origin squad, starting back row, which not unexpected. I think a lot of people were expecting that. Obviously, a great score again this week, 82, because he scored a line break try. Just going to have a quick look here. Jay Schubert. So Jay Schubert has Angus projected for about a 30k price loss with 127 break even. So a really high break even. Obviously, he's not going to be playing in round 13, and he misses round 14. That's the thing with Angus, that people, this is the reason, like if anyone out there is thinking, why would you sell Angus? He's going so well. The reason is because he misses round 13 now because of Origin. He already misses round 14 because of the bye. Plays round 15, but then if he plays Origin again, he misses round 16. So he's missing 3 of the next 4 weeks. Then he may not rest. He may not play against the West Tigers in 17 because of the backup. It's unknown. Plays round 18, but then he misses round 19 again. So basically, if you're looking between, say, round 13 to round 20, there's 4 games where he's guaranteed to miss, and he could maybe miss a 5th or get reduced minutes in one. And the Roosters have got a lot of back row options as well, although Egan Butcher did get an injury, so we'll have to see what happens there. But Angus, I think, will be around, 850k with 127 break even. I can see myself potentially selling Angus next week, or if you can hold him, you can maybe sell him to Eli Katoa, I think, in round 14, because Eli Katoa is probably the best back rower available who is going to be playing Origin. So Eli Katoa played pretty well against Manly, scored a try, ended up on 79 points. Eli Katoa, I looked at this on Thursday. It's actually crazy. If you look at the best back rowers in SuperCoach, so hopefully you can all see this. So if you look at second or forward averages, sorted by average, Fafita, Origin, Angus Crichton, Origin, Isaiah Yeo, Origin, Eli Katoa's fine, he's not. Olaquatu, Origin, Hopgood, Origin, Hudson Young, is he? I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Hudson Young's in the 17, so he's out for Origin. Pat Carrigan, Origin, Jaden Sewer, Origin, Cam McInnes, Origin, Jeremiah Nana, Origin. All of the best back rowers for SuperCoach so far this year are all in State of Origin except Eli Katoa. So he screams to be the most obvious one around in the gun elite tier. He's 720k. He scored 79, so he will get up to about 750. But look, so you're getting 100k, and apart from missing round 13, just having a quick look here. So Eli will play 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. So you're getting him for round 16. You don't get him for round 19, but it's nice knowing that you've got 5 games in a row there that this guy will be unaffected by Origin. Same, and the best thing I think is that Jerome Hughes doesn't play Origin either. Him and Jerome Hughes have a really good partnership. So I think if Hughes is playing, Eli Katoa is going to be just fine from a SuperCoach point of view. So Eli Katoa is a great one. Another one that people have mentioned in the chat who will play round 13, but will miss round 14, but plays every bye week is Ewan Aiken. So Ewan Aiken was really solid again today. I think he ended up on 73 points. Let's have a quick look here. Yeah, so he ended up on 73 and pretty much all in base. And that's kind of I've liked Ewan Aiken in the past when he was available at centre because he's just a super solid player. He doesn't really need many attacking stats to get you very solid scores. His lowest score this season is 50, and that happened in round 2. Otherwise, 57, 54, 58, 56. Last week's even better, 84, 60, 83, 63, and then 73 again today. So, he's rock solid. Can't go wrong with him. He's 641k with the 53 break-even. So, he'll be around 655, 660k. So, you can free up almost 200k going Angus down to Aitken as well. And you have Aitken for all of the major bye weeks. You'll have him for 13, 16, and 19. So great coverage there as well. And he's very low owned at the moment. I think he's, what is he? He's selected by 2%. Obviously expect that number to go up. But like, yeah, you can look at Aiken as just a really rock solid guy. He's not going to get you worse than 55 on any given week. And yeah, the Dolphins play every major bye week. So Aiken is also a really good, solid option. So yeah, Pablo Escobar's saying Crichton to Aiken. Cashwell saying Crichton to Aiken is what I'm considering. Yeah, if you need a guy for round 13, then Aiken is probably one to consider. If you're willing to wait a week, like the best in my head is still Eli Katoa. But if you want to wait a week, then obviously you can do that. Another player I don't mind as well is Preston. So I've just seen his name here. So he scored 70 this week. So he ended up on 70, but he very easily could have scored a double. Sorry. I'm thinking of last week. Last week he could have scored a double, but he was very close. But he dropped one. I remember now because Karaz set him up and he dropped the ball. But 66 last week, 70 this week. We know he was a really solid option last year. He had a break even of 78. So he's... Excuse me. He's effectively bottomed out as well. So he's 540k. Does play round 13. So he is... And he's playing the Knights in round 13, which is great. Then Parramatta in 14, which is really good. Round 15 is good. Like, he has the bye in round 15, but that's okay because that's a week that's unaffected by Origin. So you can kind of cover for someone like a Preston. Plays round 16 against the Chooks. Doesn't play 19, but he does play 17, 18. So Preston is another one I think that you can consider if you are selling Angus. And, you know, these were the kind of moves that I was thinking about. If I needed to free up all this money to get like a Joey Manu, you know, Angus out frees up like 300k to go to Preston, 200 to go to Aitken. Someone else is considering Victor Radley. Radley is probably a shout as well. I mean, he did score a try, which did bump up his score this week. So, I mean, he's solid, but like if you look at some of his scores, like they're kind of more in the 50s and 40s. He does need the attacking stats to get these bigger scores. He will probably play extra minutes during this Origin period, but I don't like that he misses 14. Well, I guess Aitken does miss 14 as well, so I can't probably use that too hard against him. But I guess with Radley, I don't know. I feel like he needs to do more to get the points. At least with Aitken, 50 is effectively his floor, but he can get some attacking stats, and he got 73 today, pretty much all in work rate. So I think I'd prefer Aitken, and I think I'd prefer Preston as well. Just going to double check on the minutes for Preston. I just want to see, because I can't remember off the top of my head, going back to Thursday, who started in that team or not. So Preston came off the bench, actually. Okay, so he did come off the bench, but how many minutes did he end up playing? So, he only played 47 minutes. Okay, not ideal. In my head, I was thinking that he was named to start. Yeah, I think with Preston, I would have preferred probably 80 minutes. So I'll probably take maybe a little bit back on what I said about Preston, but still someone to monitor. He's at a good price, but yeah, not playing 80 minutes, probably not ideal. He was really good last season when he was just an 80-minute edge back rower, but doesn't quite seem to be the role that he's playing at the moment. Last year when he was playing 80 minutes, he was generally safe for like 55, 60 most weeks. So his base was pretty good, just to answer your question, Pablo Escobar. Another good option, actually, I should mention is Beau Fermor. So, doesn't play round 13, but Fermor has been killing it. He was named at centre in the final team today, but he still did score pretty well. 70 and 76 the last 2 weeks, which pretty much all in work rate as well. Yeah, he had one line break in the last 2 weeks, but like lots of points and just runs. So Beau Fermor is actually a really solid option as well to consider, but he doesn't play 13. So he's one who I think if you're looking to downgrade to, maybe if you're okay to keep Angus for 1 week, maybe you go Beau Fermor in round 14 instead. But yeah, basically what I'm saying is there's a lot of back row options. Not many playing round 13. Aitken, Preston are the ones that stand out to me. Otherwise, in round 14, Eli Katoa by far is the best one I think I'd be looking at. And then you've got the likes of Beau Fermor. You can even go cheap with someone like Samuel Lafinu, who scored well on the weekend too. Estimate on the damage for... Okay, so you were 1128 with Nico captain. Yeah, that's rough. You were ranked 3466. Maybe like 7,000, 8,000 if I had to hazard a guess. I think you were. I don't think you'll drop much further than that. Like, look, 21% of people in the top 1% captain Nico. So there was a lot of people who did really struggle this week. Evening Martin, what's par this week? 12.99. Hopeful for updates. Ian, I think you've gone past the par. I think par score in my head was around 12.50. That kind of looks around the par from what I've seen from a few different leagues and things. Realize I haven't really gone to most of the games, but that's okay. I guess Bulldog, we've kind of already spoken. I mean, look, if you're looking for a gun center wing this week, for sure, Karaz, I think, is definitely a strong buy option for this week, because he plays 13, but he also plays 14, and 14 is against Parramatta, who we've just seen are very, very leaky. So since, like, I own Karaz for a few weeks now, which has been pretty good. Since he's moved back to the right wing, he's just been putting up really good scores. So I think, yes, round 6 was the first week he played on the right wing. So he's gone 73, 101, 48, 100, 92, and now 134. He's just going to be very expensive. So he had a break-even of 29, 712k. A good friend, Jay Schubert, does project that he would be around... where is he? He'd be making 89k. So it's pretty much going to be 800k. So he will be very expensive, Karaz. But look, still, I think it's definitely a worthwhile option, just given the numbers that he's been putting up. Kolomatangi appeal, 88 base power. I think I probably need to see more from it. Like, he played a really good game, but I think Parramatta helped him a little bit. Like, Parramatta were very soft. I think most of his base power was in tackle busts. I think he had like 7 or 8 tackle busts. Kolomatangi has been a gun in the past, but I personally just... maybe you can consider him for round 14, but I guess maybe you can cross that bridge when we get there. On the Cowboys-Tigers game, probably not a whole heap of relevance. I guess Tigers don't play round 13. The Cowboys do play round 13, so, you know, like myself, if you own Scott Drinkwater, you're going to be holding him for this week for sure. And then Val Holmes, I think... Look, Val Holmes was someone who was on the chopping block for a lot of people this week. Obviously, was very helped by a junk try at the very end of the game, but it was still sitting on, like, you know, close to 100 at that point. But 136 in the end, which is great. I think I'll probably be just holding Val, because he's just, like, he did show, like, he can have these big games in him, whilst he's been disappointing form-wise. You know, we know from a SuperCoach point of view, he can still put up these really monster scores. And good thing with Val, I think Timmy from SE Playbook actually broke these down, but this is something I've kind of noticed as well in the last few years. Val typically does back up from Origin. I think he's only not backed up from one game from Origin, and that was, I think, when he was injured. So I think Val is probably someone who I think I would just keep during the bye period. So round 14 at home against the Warriors, I think Warriors, whilst they've been really good the last 2 weeks, they're probably not the same formidable opponent from last year. So I look at that as an okay matchup. Raiders, perfectly fine with that matchup. Round 17 versus Penrith is tough as well. Manly 18, Dogs 20. Like, it's not an amazing run, but, like, at the end of the day, like, during the Origin period, I just want to have guys who I think I can rely on to play most weeks. And I think Val is in that category. And with this whole Tedesco news not being named, I think I'll probably have to, not necessarily skip Manu, but I don't feel as urgent of a need to have to sell Val to a Manu. That was a move I was very strongly considering if Manu was going to be named at fullback, but obviously that doesn't look the case now come Tuesday. How much money will Asako lose? Reese is asking. So just going to have a quick look here. So Jay Schubert is projecting with the 84 score Asako to lose about 68k, and he has 102 break even. So look, yeah, Asako is definitely also an option to bring in for this week. Who are the Dolphins even playing next week? I can't even remember. Let's have a look. Playing the Raiders in 13. Okay, so it's a pretty good matchup, and I think they're playing at home as well. So people who are eyeing up Asako for next week, so he'll be 68k down on 812k. So what's that? Quick math. He'll be about 750 something. 750. Call it 750 something k. So not out of the reach, but the fact that he plays 13, 16, and 19 is very helpful. Misses round 14. So this is the big thing you just need to be wary of, is that round 14, if you're loading up on your Roosters players, you're going to be falling short there. Plus, if you own a couple of Raiders still, like Ethan Strange, and if you get the likes of an Aiken potentially, or a Asako or a Jeremy Marshall-King, you're going to be really short for round 14. So that's the only thing I'd be considering. So like Pablo's asking here, for example, the top 3 center wings to bring in for round 13. The top 3 in my head, who will play next week. So the round 13 teams, we've got the Dolphins, we've got the Eels, we've got Penrith, Sharks, we've got the Roosters, we've got Cowboys, and we've got Dogs. Yeah, okay, and the Dragons. Dragons also play as well. Has Lomax? Did Lomax get named? Yeah, so Lomax is out. So Lomax has been named for New South Wales, so he's not an option. I think the three I would want the most next week. So the ones I'm thinking top of my head, and this is in no particular order. You got Karaz, you've got Manu, you've got Asako, and you've got Dom Young. They're probably the four in the gun category that I'd say I definitely want at least two of them, I think, for round 13. If I had to rank them, top three, Karaz would definitely be in my three just because he plays 13 and 14, and back on the right wing is really good. I'd actually probably put... It's one of Manu or Dom Young at number one. Pretty much just ranking the two of them. It's just tough, but I'd probably say Dom Young number one, just because I think the winger is always typically better for Supercoach. Didn't quite work out this week, but like Manu's been really good this year, but he hasn't got like 150, whereas Dom Young's got that twice. So I think Dom Young is one. I think number two probably is going to be... It's really tough, but look, it'd be 3 out of 4 of Karaz, Manu, Sako, and Dom Young. I think you just need to have maybe at least two of them. I can't rank them right now in my head. So I at the moment own Karaz, Asako, and Dom Young. So I've got 3 of them. I don't have Manu, but kind of looking at that as maybe, maybe I'm comfortable not having Manu just because I've got those other 3. So Ian's asking, is Marzu an option as well? Yeah, so the Knights, obviously, we're on the bye this week. They come back next week. I'm personally still not too big of a fan of Marzu. I think it's just, without Ponga, I just don't think the Knights are scoring enough points where I think Marzu is the same as what he was last year. The best thing with Marzu last year was that he had good base, but you had Ponga in that team who would love going down that left side. Marzu, any given week, would score at least one try. And so he was his low scores were 50, on average getting around 75, and then a couple of games he would maybe get a double or even a hat trick occasionally, and then he was getting those 90s, 100s, 120s. I think without Ponga, I just don't know if Marzu's got quite that pedigree as compared to last year. I guess I've got the Dolphins Warriors game. I guess we already spoken about you and Aiken. I guess obviously Dolphins players are on radar for next week. Hobie Farnworth could be an option as well. Played really well actually today. Tamara Martin, if anyone, shout out to SE Brain. I know he's held on Tamara Martin. Scored 90 plus points last week and 117. It's gone absolutely huge. Dalton Zelezniak played at fullback, so he had a really good game. I'm going to guess he had 35 points in runs. That's what it sounded like on the commentary. Just kept running, but scored a try as well. Mitch Barnett maybe as a pod option as well, but the Warriors don't play round 13. This is the thing. So round 14, definitely I'm targeting maybe someone like Wuteni Zelezniak. He is going to be 450k. Whew. Blaze Salangi down to him for 150k. Could be a fantastic move. Manu doesn't pass the ball to Dom Young. I disagree. Like, obviously this week he scored a double and didn't pass the ball to Dom Young, but I think we've seen enough so far this year that Manu is willing to pass the ball and put Dom Young to space if the opportunity is there. I think it's probably a bit too harsh on Manu. Again, I think shout out to Timmy from Playbook. I think he crunched the numbers on this one, but Manu has actually been really good for his wing. I think in the last couple of seasons he's really not been as much of the glue hands, I think, as his reputation says. Because, yeah, he's actually been pretty good for his outside winger. When is Flegler due back? I'm going to have to quickly check on my phone for this one because if you're not already, you should sign up to be a patron of NRL Physio because it's fantastic. Just going to quickly check his most recent casualty ward, what he had for Flegler, because I can't remember top of my head, sorry. So he had Flegler. Okay, let me just load this up. Anyway, when I find it, I'll let you know. I'm scrolling. Just keep scrolling. Flegler. Expected return round 15 to round 19. So there you go. He's thinking between 15 to 19. I sold Val before Origin last year and he went huge. Yeah, that's also playing on my mind as to why I don't think I want to sell Val right now. Sea Eagle Storm, obviously a good win for the Manly in the end. Not too many options, I guess, from this game will be relevant for round 13. But I guess probably one that I'm thinking of, people at the beginning of the stream were talking about Hines potentially being a sell, and who would you get? I'm really eyeing up Jerome Hughes. I think Jerome Hughes is a really good option in round 14. The Storm do have a good little run during this origin period as well. And without Harry Grant, without Munster, Jerome Hughes will get pretty much all the ball in attack. That's really good for Eli Katoa as well. So I'm kind of looking at it as I own Eli Katoa. It could be a nice little kind of stack, similar to what you had the year before last with Dillbag, Sean Lane. Kind of stack both of Jerome Hughes and Eli Katoa, and they're kind of both, Jerome Hughes kicks the ball in and into the try area, and Eli Katoa scores it. Like, they're just kind of, mainly Hughes benefits Katoa. But yeah, they run during Origin. You've got Knights, Warriors, Dolphins, Canberra, and then the Tigers. Really good run. They've got Roosters, but even after that, Parramatta, Dragons, Rabbitohs, it's a pretty good long-term run. So definitely someone like a Jerome Hughes, I could very easily see myself getting in round 14. JMK was a dud buy this week. Yeah, I don't know. I think he played on, but he did pick up a bit of a knock during the game. So I wonder if that was just hampering him. But yeah, J. Marshall King is obviously the hooker to get if you want to cover all of your major bye weeks. Thoughts on Mulatalo? Yeah, he's gone quiet, hasn't he? So 22 points. Yeah, wow. He was like 800k. Pretty much ever since Nico has been going on like these absolute tears, scoring 100 plus. Mulatalo's really suffered. Yeah, so last 4 weeks, 50, 37, 63, 45, and now 22. I guess if Hines is out for a while and Trindle comes back in, that's probably better for Mulatalo because, that's when he was really killing it earlier in the year. And we talked about their draw during the Origin period. It's actually pretty good. So I think with Mulatalo, for me, it's probably lineup related. I think if you've got Trindle in that team and not Nico, I think that's probably good for Mulatalo. And then maybe you can pick him up at a really cheap price so he scored 22 and he had a break even of 85. So he's going to be sub 600k. So again, another guy that you could look at in your center wing for maybe like another player I need to think about as well is Kale Iro. So someone else I think was asking in the chat earlier, I've been thinking about this as well. Like, Iro's been so good so far this year. And I'm not really knocking the score of 33 because they scored 0 points against Penrith. Like, they just were demolished. So he still scored fine, 33 points in a game where his team scored 0 points. And he's been so good all season long. Like, his season average is like, 63 all season. Like, he's just been so good. And that run during Origin is good as well. So I was thinking with Iro, like, he's going to be 505k. I'll quickly show you my team, but I don't think my centers, I can't trade Dom Young, Garrick, Karaz, Asako, Talangi, and Armstrong are all staying for me. Like, I can't trade any of them guys out. They play 13, they're all guns. Talangi and Armstrong have got negative break even, so I'm not selling them. And now, and I was pretty much going to hold Val anyway. So pretty much the only center in my whole backline was Iro that I think I was okay to sell. And so I was going to wonder, do I sell Iro for like a Manu? But look, Iro plays 13. It's a good little run during Origin. I think I might just keep him. And yeah, I have a feeling I'm probably going to be not getting Manu this coming week, which it could be bad. But look, I'm like, even Teddy, for example, like I think Ian, you were asking earlier in the chat as well about Walsh to Teddy. So Walsh isn't too bad during the Origin period because he only misses 13, 16, and 19. And I think Walsh will likely back up from Origin. That's my feel. So Teddy will miss round 14 anyway. So it's not like you're getting consistent weeks. Like, Teddy will miss 14. I think you just need to balance that up in terms of your overall squad for round 14. But yeah, look, on Teddy, so I haven't really spoken too much about him. Went huge this week, 151 points. He's going to go up massively in price because he had a break even of 67. So Jay Schubert has him projected for a 60k price rise. So he'll be like 810k. So not too expensive. And he's been really good in the last few weeks as well. Oh, you know what though? This is the thing. So I get that they miss. So, okay, this is one thing I will say about Roosters players. If you are eyeing up Roosters, especially like the likes of Manu, Dom Young, and this is probably something I need to think about as well. So the round 13 matchup is great against the Cowboys at home. Like, Cowboys will be without Dearden, without Nanai, without Cotter. Like, they're going to be missing a few of their key players. And Roosters are only going to be without Suoli'i and Collins. Like, the Roosters are actually pretty unaffected. Oh, I guess Luke Keary's on standby, but look, is Sanders Smith fit? I'm not sure if Sanders Smith is fit, but look, I think the Roosters will be fine. They still have Sam Walker, they still have Radley, they still and Angus Crichton, of course, is not playing, but they still have all of their backs except Suoli'i is still there. I think like the Roosters, I think will be fine. So I think Teddy this week is an awesome like potential captain option against the Cowboys. Yes, missing round 14 isn't great, but then you get Parramatta in round 15. Parramatta are leaking so many points as well. Bulldogs in round 16 is decent. Tigers in 17 is good. 18 against the Dragons is really good. Like, that long-term draw is really nice. So it could just be a case of, you know what, everyone's stuff around 14 anyway, but let me try to maximize 13. Then maybe going like Walsh to Teddy. I don't hate that, because now you know at least you've got Teddy. If you can get past round 14, you've got Teddy for 15, 16, 17, and 18. Like, you've got him for all of those weeks, and then it's only round 19 that you need to manage. So yeah, look, I don't hate getting Teddy this week. I think the draw is really good for the Roosters. Like Ian, you're asking, is Walsh a hold over Origin? So I mean, Walsh scored pretty well this week. I think he scored 112. So he scored very, very well. As I said before, they only miss rounds he'll only miss 13, 16, and 19. I think will back up. So I think he'll back up against the Sharks. Then he has the Rabbitohs, then Warriors 17, Penrith 18. Like, the run's good. I think all I would say with him is that you just need to be watchful of, I guess, trades. But look, fullback is the high upside position. Walsh to Teddy this week, I think, can easily net you 100 plus points. So you just kind of need to weigh up if that's worth it to you for using another trade. Then I think Walsh to Teddy is a fine move, to be honest. So I think you just got to be happy to happy to just be using trades, but you just got to be wary of that, I guess. What to do with Dylan Edwards? So yeah, this is a good one of people who've obviously had Dylan Edwards in the last couple of weeks. Look, at least he's got you 200 plus point scores, but he has been named for New South Wales. So look, we've never seen with Dylan Edwards if he backs up. He looks to me the kind of player who will back up because he's just a fitness freak. So if he backs up, he'll play 14, 15, misses 16, but he might play 17, 18. So he's not missing that many games. And we've seen so far this year that he is like a gun when Cleary's not in this Penrith team. So I don't mind holding him because the games that you're getting during the other, outside of the bye games, pretty good. You're looking at Manly, Knights, Cowboys, Broncos. We talked a bit about the Broncos earlier, not necessarily being that great defensively in the last few weeks. So I think that's still decent for point scoring. He's going to be, I think he's going up a bit in price. Yeah, he'll go up a bit in price. Jesus Christ, you can't just get cheap, can you? Look, Edwards, I think perfectly fine to hold, but similar thing. If you're looking at, you know what, I can get 150k going Edwards to Teddy, or you go Edwards to Manu if you want Manu in your team. You know, over the next 2 weeks, it might even out because I suspect Edwards will miss 13 but play 14. Roosters are obviously the vice versa. But then you have to look at the longer term of 15, 16, 19, all that kind of stuff. So I don't hate Edwards as a hold, but I understand, selling him if that enables you to really target a high upside position, like a Teddy. And I know I'm sitting on the fence with it, but it's just at the moment it's really hard to determine, and it really depends on your team and how your numbers are looking. Like if you're on 11 numbers, and we talked about some of those gun center wings before. Let's say if you don't own Dom Young, you don't own Manu, or you want to get a Karaz, and Dylan Edwards is the guy that you can sell to get him, then he's fine to sell because he will be missing games during Origin, whereas those other guys won't. So that's kind of why I'm being a little bit on the fence, because it's just it is very team dependent. Like ideally, I think we're seeing so many injuries and stuff, there will be restings, there will be injuries during Origin as well. Like if you think you can afford to hold a player and you still think that you're able to put up good numbers and put up decent scores with your team, then first recommendation would be try to hold if you can. But if you really want to try to maximize points, if you're chasing, or if you're winning, if you're high up in the rankings and you want to keep trading to keep staying up there, then look, I see these kind of moves as perfectly fine as well. Does Trindle play on the right side of the ruck, which is away from Lutalo? No, Trindle, if he plays 5'8", then he should be playing on the left. Fuller to Teddy from Stefanos. Yeah, look, Trey Fuller will play round 13 because Hamiso's out, so you think that Fuller will come back into fullback, but Look, I don't hate that move because both players will miss round 14, but I definitely prefer Teddy's matchup overall versus the Cowboys. And that run after round 14 for the Roosters is really good as well. So, like Fuller, like Jack's asking here what to do with Fuller. If you still own Fuller, like he should be playing 13. So if you don't need to trade him out, you can easily play him next week. And we've seen so far with Fuller, like apart from that one game in the week that everyone traded him in, he's been putting up pretty decent scores. So Fuller for sure is easy, like you can easily continue to hold him. A couple of people asked me to show the Broncos draw, so I'll just show you guys that and I'll leave it on the screen. So it's Sharks, Rabbitohs, Warriors, Panthers, Dragons, Knights. That's pretty much all the way until round 20. Cotter or Crichton for Aiken. So if you're selling one of the two, Angus will miss more games than Cotter. So that's one thing, although I definitely prefer owning Crichton. So yeah, it probably Angus, you probably get more money, I guess, out of selling him. But again, this is one of the things where like if you sold Cotter and you didn't get him back for the rest of the year, you probably live with it. Whereas with Angus, if we sell him, we're probably going to want to get him back eventually, because if I think about my top 3 or 4 second row forwards for Supercoach, it'd be Fafita number 1, Angus number, well, in no particular order for the other 3 because it's all a bit mixed up, but you've probably got, I can think of 5. You've got Fafita number 1 clear, and then the other 4 would be probably Angus, Eli Katoa, Olukwatu, and Isaiah Yeo. They're probably the other 4 that I think I'd want. So, or would be the ideal. So, I guess when you say that, you could sell Angus, and if you don't get him back, there are still other good options. But I guess you get more cash out of selling Angus, and you will get more games out of Cotter. So I'd probably have to say sell Angus instead. Drinkwater to Teddy from Elise. I don't think I'd be selling Drinkwater. So one thing with Drinkwater, like obviously a good score this week. Next week is a little bit tougher against, I think he's got the Sharks in round 13. But it could be Sharks in without Nico Hines. It's the Roosters. So it's Drinkwater versus the Roosters, but he plays round 14 against the Warriors, and he plays round 15. I can very easily see myself, like I wouldn't do that particular move at least, just because Drinkwater is playing, and Teddy will miss round 14. But I think with Drinkwater, my plan would probably be hold him until round 15, and then in round 16, if I want to sell him to a fullback who plays that week, then I probably will sell him for like a Tedesco, or I go maybe just to a centre wing via Jult, who will play that week. Because after that, he plays Penrith, Manly, then he misses round 19. So those next 3 weeks after that, I feel like I can probably get away with selling him. Drinkwater goal kicking without Val could be nice. Yeah, that's another thing as well. Drinkwater could be goal kicking, or it could be Chad Townsend. One of the two will be goal kicking when Val's not in that team. A couple of people being very frustrated with Morgan Smithies 29. Yeah, look, I'd be frustrated by that too. Look, if you've held on to Smithies all of this time, I think you just give him one more week. You get him for round 13, and then look, he misses round 14 anyway, and then I think you just punt him. But yeah, he's been a bit meh for a while, hasn't he? So I think he's probably one I would not have to hesitate too much. Look, it's against the Finns. You could get some attackers out, I guess. But yeah, no. After that, I think you sell, because he's been in the 40s the last 4 weeks. Just meh. Yeah, just got to get rid of him, I reckon. Sorry, just tuned in. Am I holding Hines? Unsure at the moment, because I just don't know what his injury prognosis is. We did look at the Sharks draw before during the Origin period. It is a good run. So my first instinct is if I can get away with holding him and not have to trade him out and still make whatever moves I need to for next week, then I could just easily hold Hines. But yeah, selling Hines was more on my mind if I needed to free up money to get the likes of a Manu or Dylan Edwards. But both of those guys, like Edwards is now out and Manu's now not as big of a factor, given that he won't be at fullback, we think, given that Teddy will be playing at fullback. The other thing, I guess, with Teddy, guys, if people are thinking about getting Teddy, where's the spin max? I don't fully agree with this point, because he's talking about New South Wales getting smashed. Look, it could happen, but there is a situation where Tedesco goes back in for game 2, right? Like if New South Wales play poorly, I hope it doesn't happen, but if Dylan Edwards plays poorly, there's no reason why Teddy couldn't just go back into the team in game 2. So then you buy Teddy for round 13. He misses 14, you get him for 15, and then maybe he misses 16. it could happen. So that's maybe another thing as well, where you don't need to rush to bring in Teddy. It is a great matchup this week, but there is a little bit of risk that maybe he is back in that New South Wales team in game 2, which is another thing with round 13. If you've got a team that's pretty well set up, you don't need to trade this week, and instead what you can do is you can kind of see what happens in during Origin, and then round 14 is a week where you can jump on a lot of guys like Eli Katoa, Jerome Hughes, maybe Nick Meaney as a bit of a pod because he scored again pretty well this week. You can get the likes of your Titans players. You can maybe jump on some Rabbitohs players like Latrell or something. Like, there's a lot more moves I think that you can make in round 14. Whereas in 13, you'll probably naturally find you're pretty well set up for it already. And I think the news of Teddy not playing probably helps the likes of myself who didn't own Manu or Edwards. Look, they could still easily, like Manu could still easily come out and kill it. So I might just be a bit naive here. But look, Manu playing at centre doesn't scare me as much as if he was at fullback. We've been going for an hour. I appreciate I didn't really go through a lot of questions, but probably preferred this anyway. Very quickly, just I guess I'll leave maybe on my team what maybe I'm thinking for next week. So I'll show you what my numbers look like for round 13. So I've got Lussick 1, Terrell Mate 2, Curran 3, Sam Hughes 4, Liam Henry 5, Kaipis Paul 6, Sean Lane 7, Sam Walker 8, Dillbags 9, Dom Young 10, Kraz 11, Drinkwater 12, Iro 13, Osaka 14, Talangi 15, Armstrong 16. So I haven't included Angus Crichton or Nico Hines in those numbers. So I've got 16 for next week, and I'm pretty happy with that. Like I think it's a good 16. Like I probably won't play Sam Hughes or Liam Henry. Yeah, so like I'll have to play Sean Lane, which is not ideal that he was benched. We haven't even really spoken about him, but yeah, Sean Lane's been a bit meh. Obviously Sam Walker I'll play for sure. Dylan Brown I'll play. Centers comfortable. I've got Dom Young, Karaz, Osako, Talangi, and Armstrong. All pretty happy with them. And I'll probably at this stage I think I'm going to keep Iro because it's a good matchup in round 13 versus Parramatta. So yeah, I could feasibly not make any trades again next week. Maybe just see what team lists unfolds. But yeah, I guess early thoughts at the moment. I don't see huge things I need to fix now that Manu's not playing a fullback. I guess the big thing will be captain. So like, excuse me, that's one of the biggest things we'll talk a bit more strategy, I guess, on Tuesday. But with your bye weeks, because you've got a less pool of players to pick from, captaincy is the big one. So like, for example, the Roosters play the last game of the week. That is like a prime captaincy game. Like if you've got Manu or Teddy, I'd be captaining them against the Cowboys. I don't own either. So maybe I go captain Dom Young. But you do also get a free vice captain loophole. So for example, Parramatta versus the Sharks, I probably won't do anything with any of my Eels players. But, you know, I'm looking at maybe Knights versus Bulldogs. Maybe I go VC on Karaz again, or maybe I go VC Armstrong. If you've got Panthers players, you know, we haven't even spoken about, like, say, like an Isaac Tungo. Maybe if you want to consider him as a bit of a pod, he's maybe an option. Otherwise, I might go like vice captain, you know, Jermaine Osako. And then what I can do is I can use like a vice captain loophole. And if Osako goes huge, I just take his score, or I just leave it on captain Dom Young and, you know, hope for the best. So that's currently what I'm thinking. So I think, you know, if I've got Osako, if I've got Dom Young and Karaz, probably is my main captain options. Or I captain Sam Walker. You know, I could easily captain Sam Walker as well. So I feel like I've got some options that I can consider for captaincy, which is at the moment making me think I don't probably need to make any trades. Like, you know, Reese is asking, is having 15 in round 13 enough to hold off from trading? Yeah, for sure. Like, you don't, like, it's a bye week. It's generally low upside apart from maybe, I'd probably, the games to target, probably Panthers, Dragons, and probably Roosters, Cowboys. They're probably the big ones. Parramatta, Sharks, I guess if you want to go pod like a Mulatalo potentially. But yeah, the Roosters, Cowboys game for me feels like the big one where if you've got any players from the Roosters, you really want to be playing them, because I think the Cowboys could be conceding like 40 plus points in that game. So yeah, at the moment, I'm thinking of no trades. Could hold Hines and Crichton for another week, and then maybe in round 14, if Hines is again out, maybe I sell to Jerome Hughes. or maybe I go Angus to a back row who plays 14, and maybe then I start looking ahead to maybe who plays 16 and who plays 19. But guys, I think I'm going to wrap up the stream there. We've just gotten to an hour, so I think hopefully, if anyone's, I saw Brayley, you've just joined late, apologies, but covered a lot of things related to Origin, covered a lot of the potential players, and wrapped up some of the stuff from this week. So hopefully you all enjoyed the stream. Do please give it a like as you leave. It really does help me out so much. And thank you all for joining me on this Sunday evening. We should hopefully see you all again on Tuesday for the round 13 trade targets preview stream. But until then, have a good rest of your weekend, and we'll see you all in the next one. Cheers. Bye.